In recent days, a notable wave of Canadian politicians has been making their way to Washington, D.C., as the prospect of significant tariffs looms on the horizon. The potential for a 25% tariff on Canadian goods has become a pressing concern, particularly with the prospect of Donald Trump returning to the White House after the upcoming elections. This situation underscores the complexities of cross-border trade relations and the intricate dance of diplomacy that characterizes the Canada-US relationship. The economic landscape between Canada and the United States has been marked by both cooperation and contention. Historically, the two nations have shared a robust trading partnership, with Canada being one of the largest trading partners of the U.S. This relationship has fostered economic growth and stability on both sides of the border. However, the recent political climate has introduced a layer of unpredictability, particularly with the possibility of tariffs that could severely impact various sectors of the Canadian economy. Tariffs, essentially taxes imposed on imported goods, can lead to increased costs for consumers and businesses alike. For Canada, a nation heavily reliant on exports, the threat of tariffs poses a serious challenge. The proposed 25% tariff could affect a wide array of industries, from agriculture to manufacturing, potentially leading to job losses and economic downturns in affected sectors. In response to these threats, many Canadian politicians are congregating in Washington, D.C., with a significant event planned at the Canadian Embassy. The embassy, strategically located on Pennsylvania Avenue, sits between two of the most powerful political landmarks in the United States, the U.S. Capitol and the White House. This location symbolizes the importance of diplomatic relations and the ongoing dialogue between the two nations. The event at the Canadian Embassy is expected to draw attention not only from Canadian officials, but also from U.S. political figures and media. It serves as a platform for Canadian leaders to articulate their positions on the tariff threats and to engage in discussions about the future of Canada-US trade relations. The gathering is likely to include a mix of formal speeches, informal discussions, and networking opportunities, all aimed at reinforcing the ties between Canada and the United States. Among the prominent Canadians expected to attend the event is Premier Smith. Smith has positioned herself as a leading voice in Canada regarding the tariff threats. Her frequent appearances on U.S. news stations have made her a recognizable figure, particularly as she articulates the challenges that Canadian industries face in light of potential tariffs. Recently, Premier Smith made headlines for her visit to Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, where she met with the president-elect. This meeting has sparked interest and speculation regarding her influence and the potential impact on Canada-US relations. By engaging directly with Trump, Smith aims to convey the urgency of the situation and advocate for Canadian interests. However, Smith's actions have not been without controversy. Last week, she found herself at the center of a political storm in Canada after she refused to sign a joint statement along with other premiers and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The statement expressed a collective commitment to exploring all countermeasures against any proposed duties, emphasizing a united front among Canadian leaders. Smith's refusal to endorse this statement raised eyebrows and ignited debates about provincial versus federal authority, as well as the strategies that should be employed to address the looming tariff threat. Critics argue that her decision may undermine the collective bargaining power of Canadian politicians when negotiating with U.S. officials. Others contend that her independent approach could be beneficial, allowing for more flexible and tailored responses to specific issues. The current political climate surrounding tariff threats and the actions of Canadian politicians in Washington highlight the complexities of international trade and diplomacy. The dynamics between Canada and the U.S. are influenced not only by economic factors, but also by political considerations and the personalities of key leaders. As Canadian officials engage with their American counterparts, the stakes are high. The outcomes of these discussions could shape the future of trade relations between the two countries, impacting everything from job creation to consumer prices. The potential for tariffs introduces a layer of uncertainty that both Canadians and Americans must navigate carefully. Looking ahead, Canadian politicians must continue to advocate for their interests, while also fostering collaboration with U.S. leaders. The upcoming elections in the United States may further complicate the landscape, as a change in administration could bring about shifts in trade policy and priorities. In this context, the gathering at the Canadian Embassy represents more than just a response to tariff threats. It is a critical moment for Canadian leaders to assert their influence and to work towards a resolution that benefits both nations. The dialogue that takes place in Washington will be instrumental in determining the trajectory of Canada-US relations in the months and years to come. As Canadian politicians descend on Washington, D.C., they do so with a sense of urgency and purpose. The threat of tariffs looms large, and the stakes for Canada are significant. With key figures like Premier Smith leading the charge, the gathering at the Canadian Embassy serves as a vital opportunity for dialogue and negotiation. The outcome of these discussions may well define the future of trade relations between Canada and the United States, underscoring the importance of diplomacy in an increasingly interconnected world.